G'day everyone, welcome to another night of VCS English. As you can see, I'm here by myself. I just have something I want to talk about very briefly. Today, of course, we did get the news about 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. He did take his own life. It's very, very sad. I personally have been a fan of his for a very long time. I've always been very involved in World of Warcraft. I followed him back in the Rogue PvP days. So I've been hit fairly hard by this one. Parasocial relationships are a real thing. I'm not going to harp on about him. He's a good person, but you can already hear all about that all over Twitter as there's been an outpouring of support. What I do want to say is that there is no shame in needing help. You want to go to someone and say, I'm not doing well, there's no shame in that. Do it. It's not unmanly to be sad. You're allowed to be sad. It's human nature. And when you need help, find it. And on the same page, reach out to your friends. You think your friend might be suffering, or even if you don't think they might be, just reach out and touch base with them. It can save a life. But tonight, I will be taking a little bit of a step back from the hosting duties. I will be letting my two co-hosts carry that one, and they'll take you from here. Thanks very much, and really, be kind and love each other. I'll see you guys when we head into game.
Thank you very much, Everyday, for that. We, of course, agree. Let's first start today with a look back to the last week. And Vinnie, tell me, how did you feel about last week of VCS action?
So, having seen a week already, we were able to actually not completely screw up our predictions off the bat, because we had something to go off. It turns out knowing things helps with predicting things. So we saw a bit of a resurgence from Flash. We still saw 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 kind of in the dumpster, but for the most part, we saw good things out of most of the teams. We saw bad things out of some teams. Yeah, it was
the biggest surprise last week.
In both ways, I would actually say Percent's performance. We were surprised at how badly they got stomped, and then we saw like, oh, okay. And then we turned it around, and then they turned it around immediately and dumped on 𝗀𝗂𝗏. So it was like, are you good?
It's very hard to tell, indeed. Yeah.
And then Buffalo Winter got smacked by Flash, which threw it even more of a wrench into the works. So.
Yeah, for me, it's also basically one team on the disappointment and the surprise side with Buffalo, as you just touched on. I was very happy with what they showed, against Percent. Very good gameplay, very well adapted to Percent's plays. I feel like going back and watching the series, they were playing a very reactive style, but a very effective reactive style. Good to see. And then against Flash, they just didn't do anything for 2 games straight. They just let Flash have everything. Flash played a super easy to execute composition. Honestly, the series as a whole was very, very low quality. I went back and watched that one and was like, okay, Flash won because they had the easier comp, but both teams played not great, and especially Saigon Buffalo didn't do anything. So that was one big disappointment for me, that series in particular. I feel like the level was quite low, and I hope both teams can step it up this week.
Yeah, I definitely you looked at their game against Percent. They played really well around the fact that that Percent never goes top, so you don't need to worry about top. Just keep it all good. Just make sure the rest of the map can't get ahead. You'll beat top on your own with Horseman, right?
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. I think we're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's our quick review of the past week. Of course, we have another very interesting one at hand now. Hopefully a little bit closer, because last week we had 5 out of 6 matches go 2-0. I would like to see some 2-1s here and there, maybe a few of the closer series. But of course, there's a big change coming into this week, and that is the new patch hitting 10.13. And this patch is basically only for competitive. If you look at the changes, there's very few solo queue changes and a lot of competitive changes for champs that have dominated the meta. So let's bring up the patch notes. We see buffs to Gnar, to Kog'Maw, to Lucian, Nocturne, Nunu, Rakan, Ryze, Vi, and Yorick. So a few solo queue champs in there, but the nerfs are the big part. Nerfs to Aphelios, once again, every single patch, basically. 𝗬𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗧𝗏, not that big in VCS, but in other regions. She was picked for TL spot lane, for example. Kalista, of course, a big thing. Ornn, and then Syndra and Yuumi, I think the two biggest changes for competitive. So, what are your impressions? What do you expect from this one?
I expect, I don't know, I think we won't see too much in terms of any new picks. We might see one or two, but overall I think we might just see some different priority around bans rather than new champs. We might see Syndra come off the ban list, we might see Kalista come off the ban list. We might just not see Aphelios anymore. I don't know, I think we'll probably still see him. Because
I feel like the nerf's still weird enough.
Yeah. It's a case of they've nerfed him a lot, but it's still they've put so much time into him. They know how to use Aphelios. So,
do you have a secret pick you think we're gonna see this patch that didn't really come up last patch? Do you have any champion you're interested in observing?
So I think there are a lot of champs that could, but from the patch, I think Gnar might see a resurgence. Gnar's always been in and out of top lane. A lot of players, especially older players, which might not really apply to VCS at this point, but a lot of older top laners really still like to go back to Gnar if they were playing in like 2015, 2016, where he was a huge pick. And with his extra attack speed on the E, he might show up as a sort of counter pick to certain champs, maybe into volley or something.
He's very good into volley, yeah.
The other sort of big beefy, but run at you champs. So I think Gnar might come in. Could also see something like a Shen as a certain counter pick. I still think he's doing well in solo queue, but hasn't quite translated yet, it seems. So
that's interesting. So top lane focus for you. I'm very much interested to see what Lucian can do in this patch, because his win rate actually got higher quite a bit for a very small change. Like he got 100 range on his Q, which he didn't get any damage buffs. It's from 900 to 1000, so he actually has a very nice trading patterns into champs he struggled against, especially in bot lane early on. So I feel like you can go Lucian bot again with the right setup. Of course, you always pigeonhole yourself into an early game composition if you go Lucian bot, but it can work, of course. If you just go full on early game, maybe Gum can go there. Maybe you can go Lucian into some of the harder matchups in mid lane as well now with easier trading patterns. So I feel like Lucian should be higher up on the list for competitive.
Yeah,
and my hype pick for this patch is Nunu mid lane. I want to see if anyone brings it out. It's such a menace in solo queue, and it could happen.
I haven't seen it, thankfully. I think on your Lucian pick, you might be able to see, because his ability to outplay might come in handy with the fact that it's not as safe on AD carries, because Death Stance is only half as effective now for the marksman. So with that sort of defensive option taken down a notch, maybe we look to see the more outplay potential champs in the bot lane. So
good call. But let's quickly move on to the first match we have today. It's not the most hype one, maybe. We start the week with a little bit of a softer match to get into it again. Cerberus, the number one team, 6-0 right now, facing off against OPG. Can you give me your thoughts and your general predictions for this really quick?
Well, it's a top tier team versus a projected bottom tier team, isn't it? It's Cerberus, who's looked really good, and OPG, who's had sort of flashes of brilliance, but overall kind of not very good. I mean, we've, on the one hand, if you just look at the top lane, you have LL, who's been rocking the split pretty well. He's up there. He's up there in like his KDA. He's up there in like kill participation. He's doing quite well. Actually, he's quite low on kill participation, But overall, he's doing quite well. Whereas on the other side, you have Vin, who has the lowest goal differential at 15, at down 1,000. So his individual gold at 15 is less than his team's gold at 15. So it's very rough for him. He's on average a K down.
And top lane is a very rough role to be new in, right? We have a lot of very good top laners right now in this league. So
true.
Vin showed some some flashes of brilliance before. He had some very good. He got an MVP for one game, if I remember correctly. But overall, I feel like we talked about OPG and Cerberus in more detail in our podcast, of course. If you want to go back and listen to our thoughts in depth, we have a 1 hour and 40-minute podcast this last week. We went on and on and on about all the teams. So just quickly to summarize some of the thoughts. For me, OPG is actually quite a surprise in a positive sense, where I thought they would come in and just get stomped by most teams, but they are not good enough to really contest for playoffs, in my opinion. Their individual prowess is not there yet, but I feel like overall they are a very well-coached team. They know how to execute their team compositions. Most of the time they have pretty cohesive team compositions as well, very much playing through one theme, which I really like with bottom-tier teams. Just focus on one very easy to execute thing, and then try to get the game there. Their early game macro has surprised me. Their objective control in the early game is definitely something to look at. The big problem, of course, is that their team fighting skills, especially from the two main carries, PhD and Vid, just aren't on par with all the other teams. So, not much they can do there, but still an interesting team to follow.
Yeah, and that means it's not a very good stylistic matchup against Cerberus, who have been a really good game fighting, mid to late game team fighting team, and great rotations in the mid game, especially when Yardo's able to get on champions that get to roam really well, like the Twisted Fate. But that does, as you said, they have OPG has a strong early game, which might play well into Cerberus's weakness, which is their players are a lot of the time they're going even in lane. None of them are really smashing lane, save I think 1 or 2 games they've had show off performances. Most of the time they're actually falling behind early and then making great rotations, great macro decisions, and that's bringing them back into the game. And then with that mid game lead, they're able to snowball through the team fights. So now that said, they have there is one, and the big part of that is Artemis. I think the stars of the both these teams are in the bot lane, but Artemis versus Sin. So I'm interested to see I'm interested to see how this matchup goes. I'm interested to see what version of PhD we get.
Oh no! Hey, Lucian got better, right? So we probably see PhD Lucian, to be honest.
So I expect triple Lucian bans the series if it goes to 3 games. Just ban PhD's Lucian. I don't know. It's I'll pick it. I don't know. You can do that. That also works. But
for me, this series is the quintessential "you're on the timer" thing. Remember the season 5 Fnatic team with the meme of unspeakable violence whenever the time was up? This is basically what Cerberus is right now in VCS. Their early game is not the greatest. OPG, I think, has the biggest chance here. They can snowball early game, as you touched on as well. But I feel like the timer in this series is very low, and it's very hard for OPG to get ahead of the timer. I think by 20 minutes, if they're not like 4k gold ahead, the game is probably over, because Cerberus is so much better in team fighting. So it's a hard one for OPG, but I'm excited to watch at least the first 20 minutes for this team and see if they can maybe bring it home in 1 or 2 games here.
Yeah, I mean, if OPG is the first team to take a game off Cerberus, that's a statement, if nothing else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they've been able to take games of GUM, right? So
they took a game of GUM. They beat Saigon Buffalo.
Indeed.
So this team is not a slouch. It's just
someone
has to be last, right? This team's not bad. It's just the less is just the least good, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, EVOS exists, but we'll talk about them later.
Yeah, we'll talk about them when they eventually show up.
Get stomped again. Yeah, but let's quickly throw it to a pause to get us ready for Champion Select, which should come up in a few minutes. So see you all in a few minutes for the very first Champion Select of Week 3.
Welcome back, everybody. We do have a draft going on. OPG taking on 𝗬𝗂𝗧. I have returned from the depths. And it is a jungle-focused Bance over here by Cerberus. Look at this one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, OPG does not want Artemis to have any of the top tier picks. I guess because they're assuming that Cerberus is going to
ban. What? Have you read patch notes? Hello? That is so surprising to me.
And there he is. They said he was nerfed. They said he got Olafed. But 𝗬𝗂𝗋 is first picked.
Yeah, he did get Olafed. Varus? Yeah, I guess you can play him again.
I said 𝗬𝗂𝗋 would stick around. But Varus didn't get touched.
Also, the interesting thing about 𝗬𝗂𝗋 is getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, even though he's still S tier. So all the other ADCs slowly get closer to his power level. So all the other champs like Xayah, Kai'Sa, of course, maybe even something like Caitlyn are potentially viable now. As long as 𝗬𝗂𝗋 keeps getting nerfed, you never know.
Yeah. If 𝗬𝗂𝗋 and stuff, if 𝗬𝗂𝗋 gets nerfed and Ezreal, 𝗬𝗪 keep getting banned, yeah, we can expect to see more and more different types of AD carries. But yeah, this is them saying we don't think you can play Varus, and if they don't pick Varus and then for their third pick, which would be the place to pick it, admittedly.
No. I really don't like where OPG is heading. This looks like full-on team fighting into Cerberus. I feel like that's a very bad idea for OPG.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about the volley blind pick. I think unless that's going to be a jungle Volibear.
Hopefully, yeah. I hope it's jungle. Yeah.
And then Karma support jungle Volibear. It's all very very nice. It's you get the fast bear at some stage. That's what you're after. But
the Nazbear. And they don't pick up the Varus. They've gone the Zoe. Interesting.
Wait, did we miss Varus bans? No. Varus did not
Varus
get
was
nerfed.
Never banned. They hovered Varus briefly before picking Thresh.
Yeah.
So does OPG not ban it and just say we don't think you can? Because if it turns out Cerberus can't play Varus, that's big.
That's a big relation. Yeah, I think they still don't have to go Varus. They could still go Kai'Sa, Xayah, even something like maybe Tristana or something. Botlane Lucian comes to mind. I wouldn't really like to see Lucian, I have to say, because Artemis is very good late game team fighting ADC, so Lucian would be a little bit strange to me, but still, Zoe.
And there's the
Varus banned. There's the ban. Okay.
So now I think you're looking at Artemis on something like Ashe, but they're going to last pick AD carry.
Yeah, that is.
We might see something spicy.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of Ashe, but Ashe is super good right now as well. Asian League's really starting to play her again with very high priority.
Yeah,
I think Ruler, for example.
VCS and LPL.
VCS as well? Okay. Yeah, LCK, I saw a lot of LCK Ashe, which makes a lot of sense because you try to go for one pick and then win the game from there. This is a very good Braum pick in my opinion. Anticipating the Ashe, very good into Ashe as well. So now Ashe becomes a little bit of a lesser priority. Also, if you go Ashe with Renekton and Zoe, you have some damage concerns in your team. They might need a little bit more damage from the ADC position.
I don't know. I mean, with the Braum,
Ashe can deal a lot of damage. Ashe is actually
Braum does stop Zoe quite well. Also, and but I'm very.
It's top lane Volibear.
Yeah, it is.
So we do see all of OPG. We see all of OPG's comp laid out.
No engage.
It's a team
they have
fight.
No engage.
Exactly what I was about to say. It is a team fight comp that can't start team fights. Woohoo! The bad team special
is a bear running at you,
yes.
and
Xayah yes.
can absolutely stop the bear run. Can absolutely ignore the bear running at you. So that's not a bad pickup.
For the record, really good pick.
There's actually a lot. There's actually a lot of good disengage on the side of Cerberus in the sense of there's a bear running at you.
I mean, how does the bear run at you through a Trundle pillar, a Zoe bubble, and
a flame
Featherstorm
and feathers,
like
and a
bear.
crocodile?
He's going to...
Trundle can just subjugate
We were talking about
Vin
the
and then...
𝗬𝗂. We were talking about the 𝗬𝗂 VCS, but I think this might be 𝗬𝗏 Jr. and he's just going to spin off and smash into a wall.
Yeah.
That was a very niche reference, but those people who get it will appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't think there's... I think with the Graves pick completely shutting down any chance of an actual engaged champion, you've sort of tossed it away. I don't know if the Braum was like 100% what you wanted either. I mean, yes, it stops the Zoe. Yes, it sort of stops the Ashe. But yeah, I think when you have a VCS as your only form of engage, you've screwed up. Whereas
I feel like OPG has drafted...
has a great pick comp. 𝗬𝗏 has a really strong pick comp with decent team fighting late game. They also have a little bit of engage issue, but they're much better at getting individual picks.
I also don't think an engage issue is like 𝗬𝗏. I think they're the sort of team where I don't mind them picking just team fight comps because they're not going to outsmart 𝗬𝗏 on the map. If they can just constantly engage, that's their chance, right? Beat 𝗬𝗏 with the fingers. I don't mind 𝗬𝗏 not having much engage because they're just going to win through macro. But Vinny, give us your last words and then we'll crack it onto the Rift.
Yeah, I think as we've outlined it very well already, OPG doesn't have engage, and 𝗬𝗏 can play their pick comp and just outsmart OPG, shall we say.
All right. Thank you, Vinny. So you're picking 𝗬𝗏. We'll talk to you again after the game. Now it is just me and Yulwei here, cozy on the Rift. Now I've got to point something out. PHT is playing a mid laner.
Calmer. And a very different style. Yeah, very different style from his normal hard carry solo queue-esque playstyle. So let's see if he can actually manage to play this one correctly. Assist DK in his early jungle pathing and stuff, and give him priority to get early scuttle crabs, get ahead of Zhuhao, of course. But I want to get back to a little bit of the team composition discussion, because I feel like OPG has actually come in with a plan here. Because one of the strengths for OPG, rewatching their games, is their objective control, and they are almost always first to the objectives and have very good vision setups most of the time. So I feel like this team composition they've drafted here is pretty good if you get to objectives first. Because if the enemy team has to run at you, you don't have your engage problems, right? You have decent disengage with stuff like Braum and Karma. So I feel like they've drafted to their strength in some aspect. I still worry about them from behind. I feel like from behind this team composition can't do anything. But it's fair to gamble against Cerberus, one of the not so great early game teams, even though their mid and late game is incredible. Their early game hasn't been great, so I feel like this actually makes a lot of sense to draft like this, even though in a vacuum, I wouldn't like this team composition.
I mean, my biggest problem is honestly the Grave. I think,
as always, same for me.
Ron OP will hit the first hook of the game. There's nothing to come from it, but he's got that 100% hook accuracy. But as I was saying, I feel like the Graves, you didn't need more damage in this comp. I think damage-wise, you were okay. I know Graves' Karma is very strong, but I think a little bit of engage coming from your jungle might have been really nice. Maybe a Rek'Sai, something like that. But
just every single creep there. Oh, no.
Yeah, that wasn't. But let's move on. Let's have a bit of a forward-facing chat. Where do these teams want to fight? You say OPG, if they play around objectives, they could be very clever with their comp. What objectives are you thinking?
So, Dragon is a little bit easier to contest for Cerberus, because they come from red side, so they can actually see into the Dragon area. Baron can be very difficult, especially if OPG has good vision and can remove stuff like the Blast Cone from red side. With a no mobility jungler, it's pretty hard to get into the Baron pit. One problem with OPG is that Aphelios' aspect at taking big objectives got nerfed this patch. He can't stack up the chakrams anymore, so your Baron speed is not as high. Yeah. It's not as high anymore, so that's a little bit of a problem here. But I feel like OPG just wants to get first to all the big pit objectives, so Baron and Dragon, and establish a good defensive line of vision.
This is a very aggressive play here in the bot lane. They were very far back. Zhuhao's going to walk in and say, look at my pillar. I don't think there was too much of a chance of anything happening there. They were very close to their tower. So the first showing from 𝗬𝗏 on the map is a bit of a failure.
This is something Trundles across the world have struggled with from time to time, finding good early ganks. And a lot of Trundles have actually thrown away big leads or not leads, big opportunities in the early game, showing too early on the map. I think 𝗬𝗏 actually, this gank was okay from 𝗬𝗏, where he cleared all his jungle anyway, so there wasn't really much he could do on the map. So just try. There was just a very low possibility gank, but maybe it works off. Maybe you get 𝗬𝗏's first kill. So it's not the worst that could ever happen. He's back in his jungle and he's back to farming and trying to keep up with Graves, who of course farms a little bit faster.
Yeah, absolutely. It did give DK a steal on 𝗬𝗏's Krug camp. That was probably going to happen regardless, just because of where they were on the map. So it doesn't really matter. Let's have a look at this top lane, as this is a rough one for the Renekton, it would seem. Ooh, but LL showing that he does have some bite.
Making use of the fact that 𝗁𝗶𝗴 had no mana left whatsoever, so Renekton could actually trade back. We can see 𝗁𝗶𝗴 in a good position. 𝗬𝗏 is bad bot once again, and the grab is here.
Oh, there it is. They're coming in. Here goes the Lantern to get that Trundle close. 𝗁𝗏's in a lot of trouble. The feathers are blocked, but it doesn't matter. There's the flash forward, and the bonk comes in. 𝗬𝗏 gets the kill, and Xin limps away.
Can you believe it? Even on Braum, Xin is impressive. Very good adaptation there with the shield backwards to block the feather stun. In the end, it's not enough, but the kill didn't go over to 𝗬𝗏, so at least that was prevented. 𝗬𝗏 had to flash, and 𝗬𝗏 had to flash as well. So in the end, it's only a kill for a tank jungler. So it's not the worst that could have happened there in the game. Big credit to Xin.
This is bot lane prio, so they get the dragon. That first pit objective that you mentioned is denied. They can't contest it due to not having an ADC. Christian Drake will go over. So, something we didn't mention, well, you guys, I wasn't there, but you guys didn't get around to. Oh, look at this. The hook lands.
Another amazing hook for Ron OP, contender for the best support in the league. And then look at this block, actually super close. It didn't look like the block would actually hit, but like a little bit of leeway given there to the Braum shield to still work, even though it wasn't really in front of his ADC, so a little bit questionable, but yeah. Still worked out in their favor, and in the end, 𝗬𝗏 had to flash and chomp down 𝗕. So actually, OPG with a good defensive play there, still fall behind in terms of kills.
Absolutely. That is a good result from both teams, honestly. I think they both got a fair bit out of it, but it's definitely Cerberus taking the lion's share. We have a bit of a trade in the top lane, and it's good that we're talking about it, because Conqueror got nerfed on this patch, and look what 𝗁𝗶𝗴's done to adapt.
So I'm not quite sure if this is just an adaptation. The PTA was already a very good rune on 𝗁𝗶𝗴. It's better in comparison to Conqueror now, of course, even more so, because, can we see a little bit more of a trade? Yeah, 𝗁𝗶𝗴 should win. 𝗁𝗶𝗴 should win this. He's low on mana. So, yeah, Renekton actually playing a very nice defensive, in a nice and defensive way here. Keeping up in CS.
Sorry, just to cut you off for a moment, what's your timestamp?
7:34, 35.
Okay, fine. I thought we're out of sync.
Right, out of sync in our thoughts of the game, but that's fair. It happens from time to time, you know. So the PTA, for sure, something to look out for. I feel like 𝗁𝗶𝗴 is not the champ, really, where you can say, that's just because of Conqueror nerf, because this rune already was very, very good on him before. But for sure, something to look out for.
And look what OPG's done. Are we proud of them for this? Look who's at the Rift Herald, dead on 8 minutes. Gotta be proud.
They're very good synced resets, as you can see. Bot lane reset at the same time as 𝗁𝗶𝗴, and 𝗁𝗶𝗴 is already out of on the map already. So if he can pressure in this bot lane wave, he might even be able to get a plate for himself. Cerberus way behind play, but they're
coming in. The vision control was bad, and it's 𝗬𝗏. He comes in once more, stealing away the objective. 𝗬𝗏 brings in the Comet and gets that kill. They're going to try and trade it back. It's a big old bear. 𝗬𝗏 goes low, but 𝗕 is now dead, and oh no! Get the orchestra in, get a tune playing, because OPG might already be dead.
Yep, I feel like this is already game, honestly, with what the teams have shown us in the first 2 weeks. The only chance for OPG was getting ahead early. I like the attempt on the play. Honestly, I feel like going for the Herald is good. The resets were very nicely synced up there. But one problem we've actually seen a lot in the VCS is when teams are too hesitant to fight around Herald and just want to 50-50 the Herald. It's very hard to secure the Herald because most of the time he's facing the your team, which means the eye is exposed to the enemy team coming in. Once again, was a big factor here. Look at the eye.
Mm-hmm. Don't really see the replay started a bit late, but here we go.
And there we go. 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝗴 tries to come in. The Vin, pretty tanky, but as we said before, he has no real CC to get on the big carries, the targets you want to hit. Then it's just a chase. There's no damage left. Grace can't do anything. 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝗴 can't do anything, and it's a very easy kill for Artemis. This is without items on the Xayah. So imagine a team fight where Xayah has 3 items and just 3 shots to 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝗴 in the late game. It's not a good sign.
No,
it's not a good sign.
And something we've kind of noticed is OPG's vision setup, because I think that played a big role in how that one happened.
Yeah. Usually they actually quite. I like their vision setups most of the time. I feel like they're a well-coached team, but this one wasn't the greatest. They tried to cheat vision by being faster on the map.
Vin, that's bad.
That was super unfortunate. What?
No, he just didn't. That wasn't unfortunate. That was bad. He just didn't walk behind it. He was hitting him in the side.
I think so. Yeah, maybe.
That was bad.
A ranged champion would have actually gotten the eye there because the eye opened when he charged, but yeah. Not the greatest. So we see OPG fall behind 4k gold already at 10 minutes against Cerberus. Not what they hoped for. I liked their idea coming into the game, but they probably already have to think about the next idea they want to throw at Cerberus, because this game is very quickly looking like it will be over soon. Look at all the item advantages already coming in. Zoe on her first item already, and this item is a big power spike. We know Zoe on one item can one-shot.
Xayah on her first item already.
Indeed, that too.
Yeah.
And still waiting for the cash-in for the call as well. So even more acceleration to come for her. She got the first turret bonus. She got 2 platings shared as well, or 3 even. So a lot of extra gold for Artemis, our MVP of the league so far.
Yep, I think he's definitely looked the strongest. Looking great on my fantasy team as well.
I forgot to ban again, man. I forgot to put in bans and picks.
I once again had a gentleman's agreement with my opponent that we would not do bans and picks because they're OP, the app that we use.
They are.
But anyway, let's talk about things that people actually care about, and that is, of course, the VCS that is playing out in front of us. OPG, they have fallen down 4k gold against what we have said might be one of the worst early game teams in the VCS. But the thing is, we say that they are the worst early game team in the VCS, yet they are yet to lose a series and have looked dominant. What does that tell you?
Even a game.
Yeah. What does that tell you about their mid and their late game? Can OPG get back in this one, or are we writing FF at 15?
Yeah, we were writing at 15. Honestly, this is so doomed. We already talked about the team composition deficiencies for OPG and their lack of engage. So now from behind, what are you ever going to accomplish? I guess you can hope for Cerberus to have a brain. Oh, maybe there's a gank in mid lane, but Karma is fast enough to get away. So maybe you can hope for Cerberus to somehow all turn their brains off and run at Aphelios one after each other and give Aphelios a pentakill or something. That is the only world where you win this game, because 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝗴, look at his items. He's going full armor. He has no threat, no damage whatsoever. So if he runs at Xayah just will laugh at him and turn around and kill him probably. So it's a very sad sign. I really like the Xayah adaptation. I want to see more Xayah. She's my favorite ADC. I think she's the best design, one of the best design champs in the game. So I'm very happy to see her come back. And Artemis on Xayah is a treat to watch. So just going to enjoy the team fights later on.
Yep, and once again, Graves gets out to a farm lead and has done precisely nothing with it except miss a smite.
What a surprise.
We continue to be vindicated with our opinion that Graves is a massive trap pick, particularly in lower tier leagues, in my opinion. So maybe, VCS, PCS, NA just shouldn't really play it. There's not much going on. Not much going on at the moment.
Yeah, the game has slowed down significantly, which makes sense. Plates will fall in 10 seconds, so it's not really that beneficial to go for like risky dives. You don't really get much of them, especially from ahead. Now Cerberus don't really need more kills. They know they're in a position, if they just wait for the next 10 minutes, the game's over anyway. So why would they risk anything?
Yeah.
It's a very Korean way, or it's not even Korean. It's just a very theoretical way to look at the game. But
Ooh, Artemis
okay,
might be caught
Artemis
though. The backs were not synced. He's trying to buy time. There's a teleport coming. He calls in the feathers. There's the Moonlight Vigil. Zid is going low. Can he blow him up? He cannot. And all 5 members of OPG have come down to rub salt in the wound. But it is a kill back. That was not a good back. That was a greedy back. They just should have walked back towards the tower.
Yeah, I think Artemis is furious at his support right now. He's like, "Why did you leave me alone? What did you do? You're destroying the KDA."
Some trouble. He's got 4 members coming at him. He just dashes away. They're happy to give up damage on the tower. This should actually
also 𝗬𝗶𝗴𝗀 ult. 𝗬𝗶𝗴𝗀.
That's very true. Turn the tower off. You don't want to see that. But look what they've traded it for. 𝗙𝗂𝗃 has been picked up. Cerberus, never give things up without getting something back.
I mean, the gold lead actually is still at more than 4K. So even though this all looks like a good passage of play for OPG, they are bleeding gold left and right, especially in mid lane. They actually lost mid lane outer turret, I think, during the play, most likely. I want to go back to the replay and look at the Vinnie map because I didn't catch that. I think Cerberus just made the adaptation to all go mid lane and pressure the mid lane turret, which is a very nice macro call. So I think that is where the 5K gold lead is coming from, because I didn't see anything happen that should warrant this gold lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it is just a bit of farm in that. At the moment, OPG just seems to be outclassed in every position. When that happens...
Well, look at top lane. Are we watching 𝗂𝗃 play? Because that is a 50 CS lead in the top lane. That is massive.
No. 𝗂𝗃 is good at volleyball.
That's fair. That's fair. So, Drake number 3 is coming up in 10 seconds. It's a nice thing to collect. The Cloud Soul will be... Cloud Soul is actually very, very good for Xayah. I feel like if Cloud Soul is secured, Xayah can never, ever die in team fights, because she uses her ultimate, gets a speed boost, and gets even further away. So that's a very nice...
Really good for every member of the team, if I'm honest. Everyone's very happy.
Yado doesn't really like it too much, but...
I think the cooldown reduction, he loves it.
So there we go. OPG is trying to fight this. I don't think that's a very good call. They are very far behind in items, so
yeah, they're going for the Hail Mary. DK charges in, but it's 𝗬𝗃. He is not going to miss. DK takes a lot of damage for it. Uses collateral damage. Oh my god, you can't miss a hook on the bear running in like that. But look at the feathers. 𝗬𝗃 tries to trade back, but it doesn't matter because we've got the Crocodile Rock, and he's slicing them all up. Yado charging forward. He's got 1. Can he get 2? No, he cannot, and a smite from DK will get him out of there. But he'll be the only man left standing, as it is 4 for Cerberus and the Drake. And I think, very soon, the game.
Very soon indeed. I think I have a new favorite thing to watch in League of Legends. 𝗬𝗃 from behind trying to teamfight.
It's one of those things where it should have the music track of someone on a tuba, just... Womp, 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 womp.
That's a perfect description for what happened there.
See, like, I'll just do that in the team fight. Where is he? When he comes in?
He's on the other side. He tries to flank because he's in fight. He's a big boy. Look at him. Amazing. Amazing. Oh no. What a useless champion that is from behind. Holy moly.
Yeah.
That was quite sad to see. But yeah, this game is yeah, I'm not sure. This is very much over.
Is this even a game? This is just a slamming. I think.
Yeah. What is your timer for this game? I feel like Cerberus is a very good team at closing games, but I feel like they will not take risks. 27. So 27, that's late.
Yeah,
I feel like 24 and a half.
Alright, okay. Well, go on 27. I think.
Hey, look at the items for Artemis already. Look at them.
True, actually. I don't know.
That is a lot of damage.
Cerberus, hey! I don't think anyone's escaping hell. The big scary dog.
looking like a 7-0 start to the league. So once again, these games, I feel like these games are easier to come back from OPG for OPG. They came in with a very clear plan. The plan failed in the first 10 minutes, and then you're like, okay, the rest of the game doesn't matter. The game was over. Let's reset and try again with something different, or maybe they just run it back. Who knows? We'll see in game 2.
𝗁𝗶𝗴 is 3,000 gold down.
It's also level 11. So
hang on, I think I need to call someone up. I've got a mate that plays the trombone. We can get a duet going for him. I don't think I can do it justice.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm really not the biggest fan of 𝗁𝗶𝗴 in pro play, especially blind anymore.
Oh my god, Artemis is just going for it. He flashes forward and he cleans up PHT. Pretty horrible. I don't know. I didn't think that through before I started. Fuck.
So Artemis still wanting to show us why he's the MVP right now after his very bad recall that cost him they actually gave over the only kill to OPG in the whole game. So Artemis still the big inter in his team. He wanted to redeem himself a little bit and of course collect some kills, flash forward as the defensive ADC. Why not? You're 10k gold ahead, so it doesn't matter.
Flashing forward into an 𝗂𝗶𝗴. Oh, no, there's no 𝗂𝗶𝗴 there. What am I talking about? I'm inting this about as hard as OPG. Look at the gold lead at 20 minutes. 13k.
Is this the biggest stomp we've seen so far?
In this split,
right?
100%. This is rivaling some Garm stomps from last split.
I mean, we had Garm against the EVOS in the first week, where both teams just stomped each other back to back. But I think the gold lead was not quite as big. Yeah. Cerberus actually got wrecked last week by EVOS as well, and then EVOS managed to lose the game anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about, Zoo. How you had the plan from minute 1. He was just going to steal Baron, win 10k down against a Kindred that was 2 levels higher than him. Easy.
Yeah, there isn't really much we can talk about this game anymore. Let's just enjoy.
What have you been up to the last few days?
Honestly, just watching League and preparing, practicing violin because I had to play on my relatives. How do you call it in English? I'm not even sure. It's not a funeral. It's a
wake. Like the thing.
A wake? Yeah, I think a wake is the right. Yeah, the wake, I guess. Yeah, or the get together before the funeral. I'm not quite sure what to call it, but it wasn't quite a funeral. But yeah.
I don't know either because I'm Jewish and we don't do nice things.
Makes sense.
We don't do nice things for funerals. We just make everyone really sad. 𝗬𝗏𝗀, by the way, from Cerberus. It's a cultural thing. I don't want to go into it, but something we can talk about another. I bought a new game. It's called Control.
Nice.
It's really good.
For Switch or
no, it's on PC. It's a single player game.
Okay.
Really fun. Very mind trippy.
Have you played the Pokemon extension?
I have
or
not.
The DLC?
I have not played 𝗁𝗶𝗴 yet. I actually haven't touched my Switch in like a week or so.
Oh no.
Had a lot of
Look at the sun. Artemis is stunned.
Oh, but here they go. The bear pops the ult and he gets away.
It's like Cyan running away with his ultimate screaming cowards. Yeah. That's 𝗁𝗶𝗴 ulting backwards.
Oh, unleash the Freljord over here. Oh no! I think we can start ranking 𝗁𝗶𝗴 performances in terms of like actual bears, right? So if you play well, it's like a grizzly bear. If you like
an ice bear,
yeah, it's like either a polar bear or like a grizzly bear. And if you're really bad, like this game, he's a koala bear. Because at the moment, I actually don't know if they're technically bears. All I know is that when they're babies, instead of drinking milk like a normal creature, they drink anal soup from their mother. And I'm going to say it right now, Vin has some anal soup dripping out on the map.
Australian animals are very strange. Get them out of here, please.
Well, what do you mean, get them out of here? You're in Germany.
I mean, out of this game.
Right,
to innovative scrap, by the way, so very standard play.
We can call it a panda because he's doing very badly at propagating his species.
That was nice. That was nice. I like that. Pandas are actually quite scary, I think. So maybe.
I mean, I don't know.
Big pandas, at least.
I imagine they could. I imagine they'd fuck you up if they attacked you. I just don't think they're the most.
Bears overall are super scary. Bears are so scary. I
think
like the stories you read about bears being like eating people alive because that's how they eat stuff. It's like, what? That is the most horrifying thing I've ever heard. It's so bad.
I've got a funny story. So I've got an uncle, and when he was younger, he worked at SeaWorld, which is like kind of, how do we explain it? They've got like displays of animals and stuff, but they're like kind of aquatic animals, so they're not all like fish. It's not an aquarium, whatever. They had polar bears, and he was a security guard, so they've got all the codes. You know, like code red, code blue, and it all meant something. And like almost all of them were pretty normal. And then he was told, "Oh yeah, there's code white." What's code white? Code white means the polar bears have escaped, and just leave. Just leave. Don't fuck the customers. Get out, because they'll kill you.
Yeah.
If they go near you, they will end your life.
They are so big. You don't even realize how big polar bears are until you see them from really close. Because most of the time you see like pictures from them on like ice or something, and you're like, okay, they're like the normal bear, but those things are gigantic.
Yeah, they're huge.
They are really big. So, Vin, can you give us a polar bear performance here? Come on.
We'll find out as LL is in the back line. Vin goes into the big bear form. Will it do anything? LL actually taking some damage, and now Vin runs away, having dealt about 400 damage with his ult. Oh, DK gets chunked.
Nice, Yado. Good one.
Nearly 26 minutes, and I think this game might be about to end
you win.
Your way.
You win.
I know. I'm pretty good, hey. Maybe
it's actually, if they end right now, it's pretty much in between our two predictions. So
we'll call it a tie. How nice. And there's a hook, and the bear will be sent back to the zoo in a box. He was ripped up there.
So now 3 inhibitors down. They just have to wait for the super minions to come in. Can we see a cool flash play from Artemis again? He has flash and ultimate available.
Yado dealing some damage. A bubble has landed onto Zin. They're trying to take him down. He uses the ult just to try and get a support. Won't pull the feathers back in yet. And Cerberus looks like
guys, you don't have to back off. They're super minions.
They're just taking this super safe. They're going to go get Baron.
They want to have better stats in terms of taking Barons. Fair enough. So Everyday wins with this prediction. Of course, he was able to predict that Cerberus would be chicking out of the enemy base and taking another objective. Good job.
I knew. So, in terms of things that are more interesting than this game, I saw a fox yesterday.
Wait, is that something that doesn't happen often?
Nah, not at all. They're not
interesting.
Not where I live.
They are everywhere in Berlin.
Yeah. So
they are absolutely everywhere.
I know, and I'm jealous. I want to move there. I love foxes. They're my favorite animal, and I love them. And this one was having a go at my rubbish. I went down. I was like, no, I'll just give you food, which is highly.
Yeah, they definitely look nice. I like how they look.
Thank you.
I'm always not quite sure how I should act around foxes because I feel like they can transmit some diseases you don't want to catch.
No, don't go near them. Absolutely not. They are dirty and they stink. They'll bite you. But
indeed.
They are very cute. There's a YouTube channel I'm subscribed to of a woman who rescues them from fur farms and stuff.
Mm.
And they're not fit to go back in the wild. They're just too domestic.
We need the Elder Dragon, by the way. We really need this Elder Dragon. 3 inhibitors is not enough.
They're really NAing this. Gotta make sure they take everything. And Ron OP. Oh, no. He's lost his MVP. Perfect. Get him out of here.
Oh, no.
I want to point out, we were 2 objectives off a perfect game.
Yeah. I mean, Artemis into this away big time. Maybe Ronopi. You can make the case for either one of the two. They both kind of messed the backport up there.
I've just opened our Discord. Oh, no. You need to carry the cast. I'm losing it.
So, as you can see, this game, after a back and forth affair, very good chances for either team to win this game. It's finally coming to a close, 30 minutes in.
But here they go. There's a big ult. The bear has gone in. 𝗬𝗏𝗻 is trying to kite away. It's a big threatening bear there from Vin, but he's gone down. 𝗬𝗏𝗻, it's close. And the dragon roars. PhD will be the next one to go down. And it's a hype moment. I can't believe that 𝗬𝗏𝗻 has finally gotten across the line. They've taken down the Titans of OPG. And there we go. The Nexus falls. And 𝗬𝗏𝗻 take a close, hard-fought win. And I will be,
summarize this game. Artemis being 2 levels ahead, and the VCS engaging him, he just responds with a thumbs up, turns around, and 2-shots him.
I've just realized we don't have a camera set up for me, but I am going to stick around. But Vinny, go ahead.
They're already dead.
Stop! They're already dead.
Yeah, that was not good. Anthony Fantano here, and I can certainly say that gameplay was not good. Yeah, no, that
Oh, you don't need to try and analyze it. It was a shitstorm. Let's be honest.
It was pretty bad.
Please tell me who to vote for MVP. I have no idea. Everyone gets stomped. I have absolutely no idea.
It's either 𝗬𝗏𝗃 for
is 𝗬𝗏𝗃.
Pressing smite, or it's 𝗬𝗏𝗻 for just being an AD carry. That's 3 items ahead.
I think it's 𝗬𝗏𝗃. You can't give it to 𝗬𝗏𝗻. He had one of the only 2 deaths.
Yeah, you're true. We have to give it to 𝗬𝗏𝗃 because the dirty feeder, that is 𝗬𝗏𝗻.
Bot lane of 𝗬𝗏𝗃 once again underperforming. Both of the deaths for 𝗬𝗏𝗃 coming from the bot lane.
Dirty feeders.
Running it down.
Completely bench him.
Please don't.
Absolutely get rid of them.
Please.
All right, lads. We're calling it 𝗬𝗏𝗃 gets MVP. And we've got to calm down, reset, and hope OPG can fire back a little bit better in the next game. We'll be back in about 6 or so minutes. We'll see you then, guys. Don't go anywhere. Where else will you get a good podcast?
That was a perfect start.
We'll be back soon, guys. See you then.
Fuck. And welcome back to Cerberus Esports versus Overpaid Gaming. Game 1 was a disaster for OPG as they got stomped from start to finish.
So, just want to clarify, in the break, Vinnie goes, "Oh, can I open? I've got a good bit." I was like, "Oh, what's he going to say?" I thought it'd be something really obvious. But no, it's just Overpaid Gaming. Mwah! 10 out of 10, my boy. 10 out of 10.
Did not expect that, I have to say. Perfect.
But
oh man,
there we go. Yeah, that was a disaster from the side of OPG. It just went wrong from the very first team fight, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
You could argue it went wrong from pick and ban phase, but I'd still argue they had an idea, they had a plan. So yeah. I don't really fault them too much for that. But after the first team fight was, very doomed. No engaged comms from 4K gold down tend to not play out too well.
Yeah, shocking, I know.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a world where the draft can win that game. It just
for sure.
Yeah, goes so well when you get put behind that early. Like 4K down at 10 minutes is ridiculously hard to come back for any team comp, but that comp just wasn't built for that. So
yeah, I mean, I think we outlined the ways that comp can win. There are ways. Also, just to explain, hi, I'm up in the corner. It's because I forgot to set up our normal production screen where we have 3 camera spots. My fault. Therefore, I'm banished to the corner realm. Go ahead, guys. What are we expecting in game 2? Can OPG bounce back, or are we getting to it?
I think they can. I think mentally that's not too draining, because you can just write it off and go back to sort of what won you games against SGB and GAM. Just pick, go for pick comps, pick the bard, pick things like that. Go for what you know. Don't.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Yeah.
Don't do the.
I think they can bounce back.
From behind. Yeah.
But I don't think a bounce back against Cerberus is a game victory. Honestly, I just can't see a world where OPG just wins a game right now against Cerberus. I feel like if they can make it to 34 minutes, that's a big win already. So it's a little bit of a depressing thought coming into game 2, but after what we just witnessed, I think that's a fair assessment.
That it is, but let's see how they can bounce back. Look at that. Immediately they say, you know what, that's Zoe in the trundle? Nah, no thanks.
Yeah, turns out they're not okay, so OPG really still thinks on this patch that 𝗙𝗪𝗻 is the way to go. They are not worried at all about Cerberus's 𝗬𝗂, which is a
Ezreal and 𝗪𝗪ista open as well. Are you? Wow.
Syndra. Okay.
Patch notes, not red.
Either that or we greatly overvalued the
It's a 20 mana nerf. That is insane. It's 50% more mana costs on a very low cooldown spell.
True. I would like to see some games. I still don't think. Oh no, you can't.
No. Okay, I'm really not sure if you're really playing on 1030.
It's all right. They're changing it up. Yuumi can't be picked. I'd love this.
Yuumi is not a champion anymore.
I'd love it if they picked by the way. I think that'd be hilarious. That's OPG just pulls out the funnel. Why not? But no, they go Granny.
Okay, so they actually pick a jungler that gives them engage. They have engage now, so that issue is solved. It also works really well for picks, so they might be going for that pick comp we were thinking. With Syndra, maybe you could theoretically go a tier build, and then when you have a tier, your Qs refund the mana, so it's basically the same. And I don't know, could work. You lose out the burst, obviously, of the Ludens, but you're not really. Most people aren't really going Ludens on Syndra anymore, are they? They're going for the GLP for the catch.
It's a 50-50 split.
Matchup depends.
Right?
So,
yeah. We don't really see much Syndra. She's banned all the time, so it's hard to get a read on her. It really surprises me that we see Syndra first picked still on 10-13. We'll look watch very closely if 𝗬𝗔𝗊𝒐 has the same assessment, because I really thought Syndra was out of meta after that nerf. So interesting to see. Will this be flexed into bot lane is the question. I saw her win rates, and her win rates dropped dramatically, especially in mid lane, while her bot lane win rate was still more than 50%. So just from solo queue stats, Syndra bot lane is still a positive win rate champion. So Artemis on Syndra would be a very new look for this team for sure, but I could see it. He probably is good enough to play a mage as well.
Yeah, I don't think they need to pigeonhole it into that yet. They ban out the Yasuo just to block the Gragas Yasuo. I've got to say, if we turn off nameplates, I'm really liking OPG at the moment. I think it's a great comp.
I'm not too sold on the set pick because I assume that's probably going to be going into support, and I think locking that early really leaves you open to being pushed around.
What pushes 𝗂𝗧 set
around? Pretty much any double range bot lane. 𝗂𝗧 is of course a strong pick, but I think, you know, if Artemis, I'm sure Artemis is competent enough to play other lane bully champions that can match the 𝗂𝗧, and then you put Ron OP on a Thresh or a actually a Thresh fan, no, put a Ron OP on Bard or something, and then you can bully that lane back, and that.
Yeah, and like 𝗚𝗔𝗠 would dominate them. You could go 𝗚𝗔𝗠 here, go early game comp for Cerberus.
Lucian Bard, even like Ron OP's Bard is really good. So
that's wait, guys, is that a top lane Gragas?
No, that's going to be Gragas support, surely.
I would.
We've seen some top lane Gragas.
I'm confused. I'm very confused. Why have they done this? Why have they done the Kindred?
I would say they
into Syndra.
Okay, so maybe they've done the Kindred to say, look, Gragas cannot fight Graves early. Kindred has a better shot at it.
Not the greatest at that either, though. No. Honestly, I think Kindred is very good into Syndra, so maybe that's why.
2 Syndra counters on this team. Syndra's actually not happy with Echo and Kindred. Very hard for her to blow anyone up.
Interesting adaptation. So very much focused on Syndra. Very low range composition that should struggle big time into Ezreal.
I mean, 𝗂𝗧 Gragas is going to get bullied by Ezreal Bard.
Most likely, yeah.
I think it has a slightly better shot than the set support, because you do have a somewhat more threatening all-in. At 6, you have the ability to sort of poke back with your Q. But yeah, that mid jungle pivot was kind of weird. But I'm sort of not 100% sure how set goes into Renekton anymore. But I imagine it's not too much different from what it used to be. Sort of just a skill check.
Yeah, I feel like Renekton wins this a little bit more than when Set came out. Set got nerfed over the time, so Renekton, especially with the LL against Vin matchup in mind as well, is probably going to get off to like a 10-15 CS lead in the laning phase, which shouldn't really convert into too much in the mid game, because Set is still the slightly better team fighter, I'd argue. It's close between the two, though. This has been a little bit of a strange draft. The Syndra had surprised me a lot. I like the bot lane adaptation. They were very sure about the bot lane as well. Ezreal Bard could insta-locked for Cerberus, so that was very good to see.
Yep. Maybe Yado just wanted to see the new Syndra skin.
I've never seen this one.
It just came out. It came out today. So
there's volleyball.
Yeah,
volleyballs. It's beach party, pool party, whatever it is.
But Vinny, give us your last words in prediction.
I don't know.
Compositionally
wise, it's sort of I think it's kind of a wash. I think Cerberus has a more traditional sort of comp, and plus I think that they're just the better team, so Cerberus wins.
All right, well, we'll have to check in after the game, see if we will be going to game 3 or not. But for now, it is just me and Yulwei here on the Rift.
Cut away from the Syndra skin, I'm getting dizzy. Look at what is that? Oh my god.
They are...
There's way too much rotation in there.
Well, you know, she's got all the rotations, and that's going to inspire the team. They're going to get the potatoes going. Just to copy, copy the beach
Bart
balls.
can rotate everywhere. I like
true.
that.
Yeah. But it is the Syndra, of course, the questionable pick as the mana cost. And you can see already the big chunk of mana that came out there. See how it pays off. I'm not happy with 𝗂𝗂 going to Graves, but.
Yeah, no, I'm not too happy either. Of course, with seeing more Graves and especially seeing Graves winning because 𝗂𝗂 was picking him doesn't really support my point. But I want to go to a discussion we had in the first game. Oh, this is a very close trade. Can Vin get the kill?
No, he ran out of gas.
Yeah, this is level 1, right? You have 1 ability. So there's a limit to what he can do on this champion. He's not driven. He can't chase forever. So let's look at DK's choice of mastery. This is a very interesting one for me. Conqueror on ranged champions always is a little bit weird to me. I think 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is still the one that definitely always goes Conqueror just for the bonus AD. He has so much attack speed built in his. He built so much attack speed that it makes sense for him to go the AD rune instead of lethal tempo. But for DK, I would have liked to see something different as we see him approach for first gank.
Perhaps
the position is not super great though,
and with a stun on PHT. 𝗬𝗏 will be able to just float away. Conqueror is actually fairly common on Kindred. It's a really good rune on her. The only other option is press the attack.
Yeah. I would have liked to press the attack on this patch because Conqueror got nerfed and it takes longer to stack up, especially for ranged champs because ranged champs only get 1 stack per auto attack. You need to get to 12
the flash forward. LL's trying to make it happen. They're going on to Vin, and Vin is in the bin as LL will claim a kill in the top lane.
And pro tip for Zed players, don't actually E a target that can stun you. Oh, that was close.
A solo kill.
Could have flash auto attack there.
I don't think it would have. He would have survived on a little.
Would have been very close. Okay, I think he made the right call there to not go for that because he also had no vision on the jungler, so it can be a very easy counter kill for the enemy jungler, especially if you don't get the first kill. It's double bad. So yeah, I guess it's a fine call to make. 𝗬𝗏 is struggling with his mana, as we expected, because with the Syndra nerfs, he's constantly out of mana, but so far he's still controlling the wave, which is good to see.
Yeah, I don't think he's been too own. He's been a little bit more tapped than he would have been last patch, but I think he's been okay. I think so far this Syndra is looking fine, but of course Echo is not a counter until level 6.
Yeah, no. He's really not much of a lane counter. Yeah. He doesn't really do much lane against her. People misunderstand counter sometimes. It's not okay. DK is trying to go for the dive. He's level 4. This is risky. They have a lot of CC.
Very risky. Bard is here, but there is the flash belly bop. And now can they turn it around? No, they can't. DK takes some damage, but it's only 1 tower shot, so it will be the clean kill. DK, I don't know about this route here. They're going for the re-dive. He's trying to get away. There can be no flash belly bop this time. So Artemis flashes away. Can he turn this one? I think with these mana pool and no E, he'll just be happy enough to pick up the wave. So it's 1-1 in kills.
Yeah, they forced another flash. That's actually very nice. Of course, Ezreal flash, not the most valuable one, because he still has another flash in his kit. But still, very good execution on the dive there. I thought it would be a little bit more risky. I think 𝗏𝗏 could have anticipated the engage from Xin a little bit more there. Try to flash away, get more distance between him and the Gragas support. But now this opens up the first dragon for 𝗂𝗏, and he's on one of the best champs to take early dragons. He stacks up so much armor, it's no problem whatsoever. So making use of the very extended dive that, of course, forces the enemy team to reset afterwards. So good counterplay for Cerberus. And in the end, a kill for a dragon in the long run is probably in favor of Cerberus.
Yeah. Oh, DK choosing to take this fight. That was a huge mistake. He flashes away. Here comes 𝗬𝗏. They want to try and get the blow up. He's got the unleashed power, but he didn't pull the trigger on it. I don't think he had the mana. He gets the kill regardless, though.
Yeah, surprisingly, he actually had the mana for Q, even though that got nerfed. But still, I think 20 or 30 CS less than the mana cost for ult. So that was very close to not being able to lock down the kill. But in the end, very good execution. Once again from 𝗬𝗨. Good movement overall from Cerberus. And we can see a big CS lead for the mid laner, showing PhD his place, even though PhD tried to go for the counter. But I am not sure what DK is thinking here. They heard the dragon go down. That was very bad movement. PhD is also level 5 still, so he can't really commit hard. He doesn't have the ult to get away. So just a very easy punish for Cerberus. And these are the mistakes OPG needs to work on. They want to have any chance in this league to get to playoffs, because player strength is already not really on their side, and if they commit dumb mistakes like these, that is too much of a difference in team fighting then later with the gold advantage for the enemy team.
I just don't know what DK was thinking there. Did he think Bard solo dragon?
Probably not much.
Yeah, true.
That's probably the problem there. He didn't really think much about his movement, because he had a pink ward, so he was like, I'm fine, I have a pink ward, no one can spot me. But maybe you should not opt into running into a river where the enemy team just took the dragon and your bot lane just resets, so they are not on the map. Really not a good call for him. And now 2 kills for the solo laners for Cerberus. Very nice kill distribution. And look at the CS leads already. Big one in the top lane. He already got a solo plating in top lane as well. And the mid lane gap was closed a little bit by PhD, but it's still at 10 CS roughly.
Oh, that's a feels bad for PhD.
Oh, no.
Oh, that hurt to watch.
And he spent so much time waiting there. PhD actually, he lost at least 2-3 minions to the turret there in anticipation of his long-awaited blue buff, and then he actually got the blue buff. What?
He got the blue buff. He came back and eat over the wall. He had to come back.
Fair enough.
He got the buff, but he had to waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oof.
Indeed. So we see the set in the top lane changed his build path. It's now a full tank champion. So changing from his release where people still were going Black Cleaver or Trinity Force, now it's pretty much only a tank champion, which kind of works because of the space damages anyway. And we have the first Herald. Everyone trying to fight for this one.
Absolutely. The boys have arrived, both. Well, actually, only one of the bot lanes. True Shot Barrage will contribute. DK gets chunked, but he manages to get it. 𝗬𝗨 will not secure this one, and neither will LL as he goes down. There is the ult. This could all go wrong here for Cerberus. 𝗬𝗨 flashes the wall. He brought flash on this Graves. And gets away.
Which is a surprising turn, because not many Graves in the VCS goes flash, interestingly enough.
Yep.
But it seems like in this series, whoever starts the Herald loses the Herald. This time around, of course, also conceding one more kill over to the 2-0 𝗂𝗪𝗓 now. So 𝗂𝗪𝗓 actually a strong point for OPG, and they might be able to play around Vit in the mid game here. Of course, a very strong champ on one item on the Blade of the Rune King plus boots gives her a lot of power. So I would like to see OPG group up once they hit their first item spikes and try to make this 𝗂𝗪𝗓 count to accelerate the game to a point where they can really get the game victory against Cerberus.
It would be a very big win for them if they could take a game victory off of Cerberus, who of course have been absolutely stomping the league. And PhD, that's a feels bad. Didn't get much of that wave as he is soundly down in CS against this Syndra. But we'll have to see if 𝗬𝗨 can continue to have much of an impact in the game. We talked about it with Vinnie in the draft. How do you ult anyone as Syndra in this game?
Yeah. I feel like her ult will not really be her most important ability here. Syndra also, of course, with all her control and E damage, Q damage, W damage, is still quite a strong champion, even if she can't press her skill button. So I feel like Syndra ult is just here to bait out one of the defensive responses, either the Kindred ult or, of course, PhD's ult. And then she controls the space with Q and E. This is her main job. I think the main damage has to come from Artemis and LL.
Yep, I very much agree with that assessment, but we'll have to see if he can manage that, if he can recognize his shift of role. 𝗬𝗨, of course, has been very cerebral in his play so far this split. So why not? Berthold is summoned up in the mid lane.
That is
available.
This Rift Belt is just to apply pressure in mid lane to get the dragon. It's not to get platings, which is a very weird and unusual choice. So they concede a lot of standing gold. They don't get back. They don't close the gold gap and only decelerate the enemy dragon snowball, which can be valuable. But I feel like it's way too much committed or way too much given up in terms of standing gold he could have collected. Because look at the gold lead. Cerberus is still in 1.5k gold ahead, even with Vit in the lead in the bot lane. So don't really like this move. I feel like one dragon doesn't really do much.
In a lot of trouble. He's been found. I don't think he's getting away from PHT here. He flashes the wall, but it's going to be followed, and we go up to the top lane immediately as LL and Vin are having a bit of a scrap, but it looks like it's all going OPG's way. It's another flash from the Renekton, but it's followed by the set. How long on the slice and dice? Well, there's the answer. Not long at all, and LL gets away.
This one, almost both solo lanes inting away a kill here. And finally we see PHT with some very good play, able to catch a 𝗬𝗂. We have to see how that started. I feel like 𝗬𝗂 had overextended or something, because he was super low when the fight started. Don't see that PHT can deal this much damage in one rotation on these items. So I definitely want to see a replay and see what happened in the mid lane. But good punish for PHT. He's now 1-0-0. And he stands CS down, but doesn't matter if he gets a kill. So what happened here? He's almost full HP. That's very surprising to me.
Yeah, he's going to get echo stunned. Yeah, he just gets blown up. That was just him walking into a bad bush.
Echo dealing more damage than I expected on 40 AP build in his inventory. So didn't think he had the damage to 100 Ethereum there, but he proved that he actually had. And now the Proto Belt, he can move into the side lane. He's still even in gold, even a little bit behind. But the side lane pressure will come shortly for PHT.
Look at the top lane.
The top lane is a little bit of a tragedy. There's a 1 point. Basically, all of Cerberus's gold lead is in top lane, so they actually have to be a little bit careful at fighting without top laners, because they are, even though they probably feel like they are ahead, they aren't really ahead if the top laners don't participate. If the top laners participate, Renekton is more than a champ. And the set isn't really a champ, so then it's a very good fight for them.
You struggled there. All right.
I definitely struggled there. I'm sorry.
It's all right. They're not all dingers, mate.
I wanted to say something. I really couldn't come up with anything other than there's a gold lead. So I wanted to say something different, but that didn't really come out as well.
It's all right, mate. I won't sell you up the river next time. I'll actually help you out. As PHT does throw out that parallel convergence, doesn't quite get it. And LL is just bullying Vin.
He doesn't even care to step out of the true damage anymore. It's like, yeah, who cares? It's 200 true damage. I can heal that up in the next wave. And yeah, he can. Yep. 200 heal on the Q. So almost exactly the amount he was hurt by the ult, of course, the true damage in the mid.
Yep. As now, here they come. They just want to force the tower, I think. Are they going to go for the dive? They use the smoke screen. No, this is just take the tower.
It's just a third.
Vin is going to try and skedaddle, but there's the Dominus into the stun. But that's all it's going to be. They abort the play, and it's a tower for a tower.
Graves is one of the worst champs at diving turrets because of his very strange passive and the ways his auto attacks interact with standing objectives where you can't auto attack. Oh, there's a play. Vit has to run away. Oh, wow. They don't want to follow that up. Interesting. Good stun from 𝗀𝗶𝗴. But I guess Vit is very scary. He's level 9. All summoners available. So one item already built up. So I can understand the hesitation there. So we have another big fight in the top side.
Yeah, as here we go. Around this Herald pit, it was secured, as now a lot of damage being dealt. Vin uses the showstopper, trying to get away, but 𝗬𝗂 will be on the hunt for him. As OPG, they get the Herald, lose a top laner, and they're okay with that.
So there we are. This game is actually much more closer than we anticipated. Looking at the gold, it's still in a good position for Cerberus. And coming into the series, we thought, okay, OPG has to dominate early game to have a chance, because Cerberus so far has looked like the best late game team fighting team. So it's still all going Cerberus' way, but at least we get a little bit of a closer affair this time around. 2k gold lead and both heralds going over to OPG. What I would like to see is actually a herald cracking a turret now, because the last one was a very sad herald, dying on the way to the turret. So maybe 𝗕𝗄𝗃 has a little bit of a better fate here, and it looks like they are setting up a push. Once again, spawned very early on.
She'll get a charge. That is
she'll get a charge at least. And at least they're always tying the timing into the dragon spawn. But this one wasn't quite early enough, so this time around Cerberus is here to contest, and we have a teleport available for 𝗚𝗏 as well.
There is, of course, a rend and a smite, though. This should be unstealable, but we've said that before. This time it'll be true. 𝗏𝗏 coming in, going on to the Gragas. He's trying to blow Xin up and manages to pop the fat man. Vin, he's caught out. He's got a full bar of pit grid. It's a big shield. PhD Chrono breaks out. I think once again, Dragon for 1 kill. Ooh, they're going to continue it. Never mind. Here comes 𝗬𝗨 with the teleport. The blast cone is used. Vin goes low. Gets another big shield. Can they finish him off? They absolutely can. PhD now. We have to continue. I try and catch my breath as 𝗏𝗏 absolutely is getting. And 𝗬𝗨 kaboom from downtown onto DK, but it doesn't matter. 𝗏𝗏's the one that dies.
Those volleyballs hurt. I am not sure what she put in them, but that is some intense damage.
Filled them with concrete.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to play volleyball with this Syndra. That looks very scary to me. But another fight, one for Cerberus, and did you see that Renekton burst damage on the poor support on the other side? He just tried to run away, get a little bit of space.
I think we discovered that Gragas actually isn't fat. He's filled with helium because he just got popped.
Yeah.
Continue. Go ahead. Do your analysis.
That's another truth for Cerberus. But Artemis
is in trouble. He just ease away. The Fate's Call was used.
That's real. Yeah. They needed to land the Fate's Call to get the knockup. Once the knockup didn't land, it was clear that they couldn't follow up all the escape abilities for Ezreal. So I like the call to say, okay, we failed. Let's reset, and instead turn our attention to 𝗏𝗏, who's severely
very far ahead. And 𝗏𝗏, he's throwing the lead away, and he's now 2-3. What are you doing, son?
He's not really playing his best game so far. He's gotten a little bit ahead of himself, maybe a little bit too cocky in this game, because it's one of the games where he was 50 CS ahead. He still is 50 CS ahead, to be fair to him. And his enemy top lane is not really doing any better, as we can see.
Concrete volleyballs once again. Getting the kill.
Wait, what?
What just happened?
That was the most awkward recall spot I've ever seen for an ADC.
That was Xin saying, oh, look, my ADC. Wait a minute! That's not my ADC! He could have caught him. He could have thrown the barrel at him.
This game's a little strange, I have to say. This game has a lot of brain farts in it, I feel like. All the players are playing a little bit more loosely. The first game was very disciplined from Cerberus, but let's look at the replay. Okay, why do we look at this replay? Honestly, poor Vin.
Yeah, he's not happy.
Yeah, the top lane bruiser that is calling full tank didn't deal a single tick of damage to the enemy mid laner while dying in one rotation.
Vin's had a rough series.
It's a good sign. Yeah, indeed.
He's had a roughie because the volley bear was looking like a koala bear, and this set, well, not going in the net.
To be fair to Vin, of course, I feel like his team hasn't really set him up for success too much. They've left him alone in top lane as weak side. And now, looking at the composition, he's the only real meatball, the only one who throws himself in there to engage and be a front line. Everyone else tries to kite back and buy some time and space. So he will die every single team fight, especially against 𝗬𝗨. He has no MR items, and we saw how much damage 𝗬𝗨 can deal. So it's a rough game for Vin, and it's not going to get better from here on out. He's now 70 CS down, by the way.
Yeah, well, at this point, he should barely be taking CS. He's just going to side lanes, but he can barely move out. He just dies if anyone looks at him funny. A stiff breeze kills this set.
And the problem for the team composition, though, is that without a front line, they can't really function too well. So they need some resources, at least, on Vin.
Maybe they do have a pseudo front line of Echo and Gragas.
Kindred? Okay, yeah, those two. And Kindred's also can do a little bit, yeah. But they have pretty short ranges, and Echo doesn't really want to participate from the start of the fight. He wants to look for flanks, right? He wants to look for maybe exploits in the side lane. So he isn't really there to provide frontline, even if he goes Zhonya's. Yeah, he is a little bit of a strange champion when it comes to his team fight positioning. So I feel like with set this far behind, it's very hard for OPG to ever hit targets, especially someone like Artemis, who's sitting on almost on Flash. In a few seconds, Flash will be available. And his E, of course. He's going Iceborne Gauntlet, so Kalista can't really touch him. The Kindred can't really deal too much damage to him.
It's just like when Kalista goes to sleep at night, she wakes up in a cold sweat because she saw oh my god! 𝗬𝗂𝗃 will save him, but Jesus Christ, Yado, settle down as the Cloud Drake will go over Cerberus. They try and magical journey out, but Yado, he got caught once, but he just clicked it again. He's alive!
Oh! Wait, he dropped so low in a second and then he just waddled out? What? Wow. That was... I guess he flashed away from the Gragas ult, which, now they at least have his flash, but we saw how much damage he can deal, so they really wanted this kill to maybe try a Baron on the other side of the map, but now it's still Syndra sitting on a super strong mid-game item power spike, Ezreal is scaling up, Renekton is getting stronger and stronger in side lane, so the game is slipping more and more away from OPG, and right now there isn't really much they can do. I like that they give PHT a lot of resources in the side lane. He's level 14 already. Higher even than Yado and LL, so at least he's scaling up, and he's going to be a very annoying side lane threat.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, his damage falls off eventually, right? He's not going to be one-shotting forever. I feel like Scatter the Weak is a fairly good answer to an Echo engage. I know Echo does counter Syndra in the team fight, but Yado is not going to be going to blow people up. I feel like we will see quite a lot of fights where Yado ults very early and then gets a massive E onto like 3 people with the scattered orbs, and it's going to be hard for PHT to play around that, even on the X.
And not even only PHT. Look at all the short-range ADCs on the other side,
ignoring, right?
Indeed.
PHT's got one of the best chances to play around it, but it's still going to be very difficult.
I agree. I actually think PHT will not participate in a lot of fights. I feel like his best play is to just go side lane and pressure turrets. He is built for a lot of turret pressure already. He has a lot of CDR, so he can for sure be super annoying in the side lane. And he's close to level 16 as well with 1 Cloud Drake, which means his ult will be on like a 40-second cooldown. So we have a little bit of fight brewing. Zin is very overextended. This is dangerous.
The Tempered Fate. Vin has been caught. He's been stunned. He should be going down. He's got a big shield with the pit grit once he's unstunned. And he flashes away. LL's in the back. There's a teleport coming. They just waited. He's out of there. Back to the bot lane. Ka-tunk! Home run bat. There they go. LL chasing down. They're trying to catch the onto anything, but it looks like everyone might survive. Zin gets hit once. Can Artemis keep this one going? Gets the slow fields, but it won't be enough. Oh, but PHT has re-arrived. The 𝗬𝗃𝗃 has been forced. 𝗁𝗏 goes low. Vin coming in like a rocket, but PHT is already dead. Vin drops him low, and Vin will convert. Yado has gone. True Shot Barrage comes across the team. A lot of damage onto Zin, but the Fate's call is good. Cerberus are pushing the tower. It was a close fight.
Echo without his ult isn't really the greatest against this very heavy single target CC composition. He just tried to flank and immediately got blown up. Very good target calling. Once again, one of the biggest strengths of this best team in the VCS here. Cerberus has been very clean when it comes to teamfight coordination between the players. Was very close to breaking the game. I think if they get 1 or 2 more kills, there they go Baron, that the game is over. But so far, OPG is holding on, and they are finding some creative ways to stay in the game. Sadly, they're bleeding more and more gold, so it's now a 4K, 3 point something K gold lead. So it's getting to the point where they just straight up can't teamfight anymore. We have 𝗂𝗧 against 𝗬𝗏. 𝗬𝗏 has outscaled 𝗂𝗧 already. It's one of her worst matchups when it comes to team fights, because if 𝗬𝗏 ever hits one Q on her with Iceborne Gauntlet, 𝗂𝗧 is basically only half a champ, because slows really impact her a lot. So she is struggling. Even though she's 4-0, Vit can't really do much in team fights, and it's all on PHT to perform. So, I mean, there's a chance. That's more than we expected to say at 25 minutes in this matchup, to be fair. So credit to OPG. Yeah, they've played a very close game.
This is definitely not over. It's Cerberus favored, but this isn't over.
Yep. I'm a little bit confused by Vin's item choice. He's going full HP and armor. Still very susceptible to getting blown up by Yado, which happened again and again in the last two team fights.
Baron just started here, though. Cerberus with the aggressive call. Only two of them here at the moment.
Though.
𝗬𝗏 is arriving to speed it up. Obviously, OPG do know they're calling in the boys. This is very risky, Cerberus. You can have a lot of stacks of that Baron debuff. It is here. DK is close. They're pulling off it. They're just going to go for the pick. And the huge Tempered Fate. But the Fate's call is still able to be activated. PHT going onto Artemis, but he gets away. Chrono Break has been used. Xin will be the first one to blow up. And followed by Vin. There is the Lamb's Respite. Everyone getting saved. And there's the shutdown. Vit goes down. Artemis is traded back. But it's a very small silver lining in a very, very dark cloud. LL is looking for PHT. Can't quite find him. Needs to be careful of the turn as we go in over there. Never mind, there is no turn. And DK as well will have his turn to go to the grave, as it's a clean ace for Cerberus.
I like the attempt. I have to say, OPG once again surprised me with a lot of their keen coordination. I like the flank for PHT as well. Able to land the kill on Artemis. That was actually a very close duel. I hope we get another look at that in the next replay. And luckily enough for Cerberus, they have a lot of TPs to re-enter the Baron pit, so this should still be the price for this one team fight. But as you pointed out in the play-by-play, 𝗏𝗏 with an incredible ultimate on his side, Tempered Fate on the most important targets. But of course, if you Fate's Call before the Tempered Fate hits, the Tempered Fate does not affect your Fate Call's targets. A very good counterplay for Vin here. Xin, of course. Look at him. He can still move. I think Cerberus didn't expect this, and a 4-man knockup stalls the fight big time.
Doesn't matter, though.
In the end, it doesn't really matter, but this could have been an instant triple call.
Yado just smurfed that. He stunned everyone.
Yeah, he had his ult, as you said before.
Yep. Yado's single.
When his ult is on the field, he has so many stuns available, so it's very easy for him to just stun. Of course, still
we
impressive.
are back on live, by the way, as Lamb's Respite has come down. Vit is hippity hopping away. LL very deep. They get the first kill, and they get another two. I didn't even see where those ones came from. And it's another 3 members of OPG lying dead on the floor.
It's so beautiful to watch good Ezreals knowing exactly when to go aggressive, and Artemis definitely is one of them. Perfect positioning there, waiting for his time to shine, jumping over the wall, and executing Vit with a very nice aimed Q to just shut the hopping bunny down, and now this might be the game. It looks very likely to be the game here.
Yeah, it definitely should be, as in comes Cerberus. They're going to try and fend off the last stand. Vin very low. The second Nexus Tower is falling. Cerberus looking for it. 𝗬𝗏 taking a lot of damage. He's trying to find his way out and has. Everyone on OPG very, very low health though. And it will be Cerberus cleaning up the fight and the series as they take a dominant 2-0 over OPG. Well, boys, game is over.
This one was much more respectable for OPG. I said they can bounce back, that they won't win anyway, but I think that was a good bounce back for OPG after the first game. They looked well coordinated in most of the fights. They wanted to go for stuff, and in the end, Cerberus is still the better team by far. But yeah, I feel like OPG had a good showing in this game anyway.
I will apologize. Yeah. Just I'm not sure why we can't see Yulwei right now. My best to fix that up. It's on my end, I think. So if you guys have a chat, I'll fix it up.
Yeah, no. So the OPG did a hell of a lot better that game. It didn't look as much like I guess a first place team just beating up a little kid. It actually looked like two teams sort of going. Actually, I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, OPG looked a lot better.
Going back and forth.
They picked a
looking for.
Yeah, that's more.
Yeah, they looked like they were two teams in the same league, which definitely was not the case in the first game, for sure. So
100%.
Yeah, good to see. Good to see.
Yeah.
Percent still very impressive though. They had some mid-game blunders. Some of the individual play wasn't really on the highest servers, of course. Yeah, servers they had some of the individual plays not working out for them. Some overextensions in especially top lane for LL. He died a little bit too often, I feel, even though his lane performance was great. So some things to work on, which is always great. We are still only in week 3, so if we were a perfect team, that would be a little bit worrying for the rest of the season. So yeah, they have still a lot to work on, to improve on, but this series, once again, very impressive from the best team in the league.
Absolutely. And who are we thinking for MVP of Game 2, lad?
Ooh. I would...
The beach volleyball guy,
yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, I think 𝗬𝗂.
Yeah, 𝗬𝗂 had some pretty solid fights there. Good setups and stuns, but Artemis...
Artemis was very impressive too.
Because, just flying in different moments, just picking off. Just really good Ezreal play, honestly. Played those team fights really well.
Speaking of 𝗬𝗂, he's also been given our player of the series. He's had a cracker. He had a banger of a series. The Zoe and the Syndra, both looking dominant, for sure.
Yeah.
And 𝗬𝗂, if you look at 𝗬𝗂 from the whole season, he has shown us very different playstyles now. He has shown us a very impressive TF game. You always like to reference that every day. One of the best macro late game games we have seen so far with TF split pushing. Then we just see him on mages. He's a very good mage player. We know his nickname is Zoe anyway, so he's super famous on that one. So yeah, 𝗬𝗂, well-versed player. Maybe not the best mid laner so far, but for sure a very strong and solid piece of this team.
Absolutely. And with that will bring our first series to a close. Thank you everyone for joining us. It was definitely a game. It was definitely a couple of games of League of Legends. Cerberus continue their undefeated run. They have not even lost a game. They are looking like a Garm of last split, but they're doing it in very different fashion, it must be said. It is not just player skill. It is, in fact, a bit of game knowledge coming in, something the VCS sorely needs. But with that, if you have any closing words, go ahead, lads, but we can head to our break.
I think that's pretty much it for this series.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good way to sum it up. That is pretty much it. We'll see you guys in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. The stream will turn off for a little bit, but it will come back in no time whatsoever. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you join the Discord link down below. Which way do I have to point if I'm here? Like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's below the stream.
I think.
You can figure it out. Anyway, we'll see you then, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one.